All right, let's talk about work. We're about to dive into a way of thinking that basically takes the traditional business playbook and rips it to shreds. It's time to rework. So let's just start with this bombshell of a quote right from the book Rework. The real world isn't a place, it's an excuse. What this really does is set the stage for everything else. It's telling you that anytime you hear, "that's not how the real world works," what you're really hearing is an excuse not to try something new. And that's the core message, right? The old rulebook is totally obsolete. All those barriers that used to stop people from starting something, they've pretty much crumbled. We're living in a completely new reality now. So what does this new reality actually look like? Well, for starters, you can forget about the 100-hour work weeks. 10 to 40 hours is plenty. You don't have to quit your day job. You don't have to drain your life savings. Heck, you don't even need an office anymore. The tools are cheaper, access is everywhere, and you honestly need so much less than you think to get a brilliant idea off the ground. Okay, so before we can build up this new way of working, we gotta tear down the old way. This first part is all about taking a wrecking ball to those old business myths that hold so many of us back. Now check this out. This one flips everything we've ever been told on its head. We hear it all the time, right? Fail fast, learn from your mistakes. But Rework argues that failure is actually a lousy teacher. Think about it. There are a million ways to fail. A mistake only tells you one thing that didn't work. But success? Success gives you a winning recipe. It shows you what did work, so you have a real blueprint to do it again. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The numbers back this up. A Harvard study found something fascinating. Entrepreneurs who failed their first time, they had the exact same success rate as people who had never tried before. Just 23%. But the ones who had succeeded before, whoa, their chances jumped all the way up to 34%. It's pretty clear. Success is the experience that really, truly counts. Next on the demolition list, the sacred business plan. Why? Because let's be honest, long-term planning is just fantasy. It's guessing. You can't predict the market, you can't predict your competitors, you can't predict anything really. A rigid plan just locks you into the past, and it stops you from seeing amazing opportunities that pop up along the way. The advice here is simple. Stop worrying about next year and just figure out what you're doing this week. And what about this obsession with growth? Rework asks a really simple question. Why? Why is bigger automatically better? All growth really does is add more complexity, more costs, more headaches. Maybe the perfect size for your business is 5 people. Maybe it's just you. Small isn't just a temporary phase. It can be an amazing permanent destination. And let's wrap up this takedown section with a big one. Our culture loves to glorify the workaholic, right? The person pulling all-nighters. But Rework says this is just plain inefficient. Workaholics don't solve problems with clever solutions. They just throw more hours at them. It leads to burnout and, frankly, worse ideas. The real hero? She's the one who found a smarter, faster way to get the job done and is home in time for dinner. Okay, so we've cleared out all that old, broken thinking. Now it's time to build. Let's get into the Rework framework for actually getting stuff done, a super simple, lean approach to making things happen. And here it is, the whole game plan in 4 steps. 1. Scratch your own itch. Basically, solve a problem that you actually have. 2. Embrace constraints. Your limits are your best friend. 3. Build half a product, a smaller, better version of it. And finally, number 4, launch now. Just get it out there. I want to focus on that second step for a second because it is so important. We're always complaining, right? Not enough time, not enough money, not enough people. But Rework says those constraints are actually advantages. When you have less to work with, there's no room for fluff or waste. It absolutely forces you to be creative and get scrappy. And the flip camcorder is the perfect example of this. It was a massive hit, not because of what it did, but because of what it didn't do. It had no zoom, no special effects, not even a memory card. It did less than the competition, which made it simpler, cheaper, and way more fun to use. It basically won by underdoing everyone else. So, how can you apply this less is more idea to your day-to-day life? Well, let's zoom in on one of the single biggest productivity killers out there and see how the Rework philosophy can fix it. Yep, meetings. According to Rework, meetings are toxic. They are the absolute worst kind of interruption. They drift off topic, they rarely result in anything concrete, and they just create more meetings. And get this, a 1-hour meeting with 10 people in it isn't a 1-hour meeting. It's a 10-hour loss of productivity for the company. When you think of it that way, ouch. So if you absolutely have to have a meeting, here are the new rules. 1, set a timer and keep it short. 2, invite the fewest number of people possible. 3, have a crystal clear agenda. And 4, and this is the big one, end with a specific solution and make it clear who is responsible for making it happen. As we start to wrap up here, it's so important to realize that these aren't just little tips and tricks. They're all part of a much bigger philosophy, a totally different way of looking at the whole idea of work. And at the very heart of this philosophy is a simple, powerful truth about ideas. You know that spark you feel when you get a great idea? It feels magical, right? It is. But it's also perishable. That's the key. Inspiration has an expiration date. That fire you feel for a new project, it won't burn that hot forever. The motivation fades. The only way to capture it is to act on it right now, while that passion is still there. And that really brings us to the only question that matters. Don't wait for the perfect moment, or the perfect plan, or the perfect funding, because they're never going to show up. The only real question is this one, right here on the screen.